Hello. So this time I'm going to share with you my design process. So the whole drone project is divided in two videos. The first one is about design, and the second one is the modeling and rendering part. In this video, I'm going to go over the design process. Basically, I'm going to show you how I ended up with this sketchboard right in front of you. From first sketches to kind of narrowing down to one final design option, and basically going then with that design option into the next phase, which is the modeling phase. It's all sped up time-lapse, but I'm going to talk over it and explain if there are important things to mention. I start out with my sketchboard, warming up my hands basically, haven't drawn all day, so I draw a person. Because I like to tell a story when I'm sketching. I like to draw people with like whatever product, story, thing I'm designing. So starting out with people is, for me, is like a really comfortable way because it also gives me scale. It warms up my hands, and it basically loosens my brain in some way so I can focus on the sketches. So then when I go into the design of whatever it is I'm designing, in this case, this little drone, sometimes when I get stuck with like the design of the object, I go to the people because it's easy for me. It comes natural because I've drawn so many people in the past, going to live drawings or just drawing from imagination, which all of these drawings from the people from imagination, I don't have a reference image or something. I just imagine a pose or a person standing around or like doing something, and then I draw that. And it's not always like on point every time, but the more I do it, the better I get at it. So here I'm exploring some shapes. I'm defaulting back to this kind of simple cylinder shape all the time because that's how I have it in my head, and I default to it because I like it. So I tried to push myself and like draw different things. So that's what you see me now, trying different things and how different mechanism, how it could actually work. The drone with like the kind of coat hanger delivery and so on, taking account like the center of gravity in some way. So just like having ideas and putting them down on paper, well, digital paper in that case. In order not to draw the thing that I already have in my mind, which I like in some way, I push out different things. And I cut out, because the video was getting long, so I cut out a few pieces that didn't make the cut anyway in the final piece. So I exploded a little bit more in shapes, but nothing really came close to that really simple kind of cylindrical shape that I had in my mind from the beginning. But it's important to like go out and try different things, push it, because even though like in this case it worked out that the first idea was the one I liked best. Here you can see me again changing like the whole idea, different shapes, even like the little funny one, because well, you gotta have fun while you do stuff like this as well. Coming back to that cylinder shape and trying to like imagine different states, so like when it's like parked or like charging, like with the rotor blades down, in some kind of charging position, and then in the different active position, kind of little story progression. I like doing that just to give it some life in some way. And yeah, so there's a sleeping position, charging position, and like an active position. And obviously because it's a sketchboard, I'm trying to like highlight and refine a little bit the lines and make it look a little nicer. Now here I tried like to make that cylindrical shape come a little bit more to life. So I started rendering it out, the shape, the volume, adding some light and shadow to it, and adding a few details. But again, it's like in a stage where I don't want to like just narrow down on one idea too quickly, but I wanted to visualize the one idea that I have a little better so I can get like a clearer image. And here I already consider like materials. So there's like this kind of glass top where the sensors are located so like they can look out in some way. So the sensors can see through. And then you have like the different parts where the different rotor blades are, and try to like shut it, like make the shut lines and separate out the materials in some way. Make some kind of pattern textures, which I'm doing here. And then like slapping that on, seeing how it works. And basically just get a feeling of what the thing could look like more realistically than just line drawings. But again, as I said earlier, I tried to like I want to push the shapes. I don't want to get comfortable in like the first idea. So I force myself to do different things and see how it works, because maybe they inspire something. And actually this kind of cut in bit. At first I didn't like when I was doing it, I didn't like it, but then it inspired like the final version. Again, here look, you can see me going back to the people because I kind of wanted to like maybe loosen up my brain at that point and do something else, and added like some shadow to it, ground shadow, and basically just using the lasso tool and just freestyling it, because the sketch is loose anyway. There's no need to be precise, and it also gives it like its charm. Yeah, so again, trying different things, splitting up the main ideas, and trying to just push it and not, as I said, get comfortable in that one idea. I'm mostly using the lasso tool, a big soft brush and a hard brush. If I render out like the shapes, I'm using mostly the big soft brush. Not really using the hard brush at that point. I use it like depending on what I'm doing, but like if it's like materials like this, then soft brush is the way to go. Here I tried to do again a different shape, like a cylinder, but like narrowing to towards the bottom, and then thinking of like how that hook mechanism, like in a simple version, could be. Adding some highlights and shadows just to give it a little bit more interest. Now I did like try to do something different than the cylinder shape, so I made like some kind of spherical drone that just like kind of in like how the Harry Potter, like that golden flying thing in Harry Potter, and basically have some kind of drone thing like it. So I basically rendered it out. I added these rotor blades now and blended it into the main body. Just mirroring stuff, so don't want to like lose time unnecessarily. Yeah, I noticed I flipped it, so basically it looks, I think it looked, that's not that they're necessarily flipped, but they go in the same direction. Here I used that spherical version and added some volume at the bottom, trying to blend it into that main shape. Adding light and shadow here, I'm just freestyling. It's not 100% like accurate like what I'm doing in terms of like that's actually how light behaves. I'm just going with like what looks and feels right. So now you can see me like moving that shadow from the top into it, so like highlighting the shape a little bit better. And I think it kind of works. At the bottom, added a different piece, again blending that in. There's lots of like, what I'm mostly doing is just having a main shape, having a main color, and then adding bounce light basically. Like one main highlight, which is always like, which I put always left to center a little bit, and then have more bounce on the left side, a little bit less on the right side. And again, starting in that kind of story, kind of telling idea. I want to draw another person, that interacts with that little robot thing. So I had like the image in my mind from a person sitting and basically just reaching out to the little drone, or like telling it to go get something, like a jacket or something. But the person's basically just sitting there and pointing towards it or at it or whatever. So yeah. Here I draw like, because I wasn't sure about like the skeleton, like the proportion, so I quickly blocked in the arms just to see if what I'm doing is correct. Hands are still difficult, always, but and I even like feet still get me as well, like shoes and stuff. I didn't draw too many shoes. I always like cut the people off by like the knees or something. So when I get to shoes, I always like take a little longer. The main thing I'm doing for those people drawing look nice is like adding line weight where like shadow would hit, and that immediately gives it like a nicer feeling. Again, just using the lasso tool, adding one shadow, which is super useful to give the person some kind of volume. And now I went back into not getting comfortable with the shape and the idea I have, and just tried to block in shapes, and maybe these shapes inspire something. I wasn't really like confident at that point, like that what I'm doing actually will help, but it actually turned out that one of the ideas I'm blocking in here will become the final version. And so yeah, it pays off often, not getting stuck with the main idea you have. That wasn't it. That was, I don't know what that was. Some kind of controller. And then just I mirrored it to like do something else. So I deleted it again. And then here that was another one, quite blocky. Tried even to like add some light and shadow to it, because I thought like maybe that helps. Didn't help. But you gotta try. I'm basically just cutting and adding shapes and keeping it like a silhouette, so you don't get fooled by the light and shadow of it. That could look nice sometimes, but so here it's just about proportions, getting shapes and feelings of like the thing, and maybe some kind of technical features like what it could be. Yeah. So yeah, just cutting and taking shapes. And that one right there, that will be the final one. I didn't even pay too much attention at that point. Just like yeah, that looks alright. And then I still went for something else, like mirrored it up, and just tried to do something else. But I think at that point I didn't even know yet that that's the one it's gonna be. Here now I played with like the shapes of the coat hangers that the drone will carry. So the first one actually I liked the best, and then I did like a few more, again in the same spirit of just like trying and making different things. I'm not gonna show it because again time of the video was getting too long. Here I'm now actually thinking about the mechanism of how the drone actually could interact with the hangers and how to hang them up. So I sketched some like ideas of mechanisms of how they actually could work. And I came up with a few different ideas. One complicated, like a very complicated one, a very like mechanical one, which is basically just a hook. So I developed both at the end, like one simple mechanical one and another more technological one with like magnets and sensors and so on. And here trying to sketch some more hook shapes, giving the hooks a little bit more features, And then here, this thing I just drew, like the circle on top, that became basically the guiding idea then for the hook, for the simple hook system. And then now I saw basically the silhouette, like I like that one, and tried to render it out. And that was basically then sealing the deal in like, okay, I like that one, which is still like a very similar type, very similar vibe to the first one, but it has some interesting features to it that help basically with the form indicate its functions, which is like narrowing down to the bottom. That's basically where the hook will go. So there's some kind of visual cues that are kind of used in that design that I liked. So yeah, and also like added some character to it, like just these two lights basically indicating eyes, that in terms of like the Wall-E movie, like Eve, just like with her two eyes basically creating so much emotion. Not to speak about Wall-E himself. So yeah, at that point I was quite happy with that design, and I felt like I found something that's cool, and basically went with that. So I had it here now, copied the blades, blended them into the main shape, and basically copied them. So what I've seen online was that there's like 2 rotor blades, like 4 in total, but like 2 different ones. So I basically just went with that idea. I don't know about the engineering mechanics. Maybe someone watching that video maybe does. So please put in the comments if you know why there's like 2 on top of each other. I think I saw like one drone design that did that well, and it looked nice. So I thought like I do something similar. Here again I played with the hook design. So as you can see now I have this like double circle, which is like 1 circle for the hook to go into the drone, and 1 circle hook for like where it would hang up in the cupboard or wherever. That double circle concept also showed to be then some kind of fun separate little thing that I explored with the hanger design. Here now I draw another person that interacts again with the drone. Generally just I like drawing people, it's fun, and it gives life to like the sketchboard, because you can get cold if there's just like these products. I mean, that little drone has emotions, a character itself, but I like just adding people to it. Just gives it like a nice feeling to it, and it's fun drawing, and it doesn't take too much time. So yeah, drawing a person that basically points and interacts with with the drone. Yeah, you just start like blocking in the main shape with like the idea I have in my head, quickly, just like the main like gestures, like some lines for the body, some line for the arms, and then I go and refine it. Some parts I struggle more sometimes it's a bad day and nothing works. Sometimes a good day and everything works. So I don't know what it is. Sometimes there's days like this. So at this point, with this drawing, I struggle a little bit more with the legs. I put like a plane on the bottom just to see like where it could be. Wasn't too happy with that. Just played around with it a little bit more. Kind of works, and then in the next step where I like lower the opacity and basically just draw on top of it. You're gonna make for a more like precise line, but still looking for line weight, and where the shadow hits, just adding a little bit more. Here notice that the mouth is a little twisted, so I think I'm gonna go in quick soon and like rotate the mouth a little bit, because it looks a little off at this point. Yeah. I also like to add glasses. I don't know why. Just gives like a little more three-dimensionality to the face, which often can, like the problem often I see like is that the faces look too flat. So with the glasses you basically have this kind of perspective device that helps make it a little more volumetric. Again, the hands. I think that one went quite well. Didn't have to work too much on them. Got them basically right on the first try. I gave her a bag. It's always also nice to give them accessories. Again, telling a story. Just like have some groceries in that bag and just like tell a story with the image. It's always fun. Adding a few like lines and details breaks up, because sometimes if you like have these underlined sketches, you don't notice how empty the drawing is sometimes if you just do the outlines. So adding a few bits and pieces here and there at the end will help to make the whole thing come together. So yeah, here I put a little more effort into shoes to get them right. Again, as I said, the details, just adding a few lines to not have them so empty. I mean, once you color him, then it's fine. But in the line weight, in the line drawing one, it can become quite empty, and it might look like, oh, it's unfinished. But then once you color it, so that's why I like to add some kind of lines here and there, not too much, especially not in the face. With man, you can add more because of like beard and stuff. That works. So again, just using the lasso tool to color in the main shapes because it's quick. And in the past I did like the pen tool a lot, but I got more comfortable doing that and quicker. I became quicker with that one. And my hands started hurting with the pen tool, so I stopped doing that. And then I always like love adding the shadow, because then that's like the volume suddenly like get like the person has like life to it. There's like a volume to it, and I basically just put a layer on top of everything and take the same color as the skin, like that light gray, and then multiply it, and that's it. And it works usually quite fine. It's not like correct in color theory, especially if you use color, but it works for illustration like that. So yeah, that was basically how I ended up with that sketchboard and how I came to my final design, which was a little bit over the place, like going from different ideas, but pushing it so I don't get stuck with the first idea, which I ended up doing something similar, but it like was informed by other stuff that I did. So that's important. Just not like, even the first idea is good, just try to go out there and push it a little further, because it might come something else from it, which is quite nice. So yeah, that's the final board, and I used that one to explore in Blender and develop that drone a little further. You will see that in the next video, how I went from those sketches basically to a more refined version, and you see like how I play around with those different hooks as well and hangers. Yeah. If you want to see more, I have like an Instagram channel, which is the link is in the description. I'll post some stuff there all the time, and please go and follow that if you want, if you're interested. And then see you in the next video.